if you can remember when cell phones first came out, they were marvels of technology. They really were. The first one I had was a flip phone with a monochrome screen. How many of you who can still get your arm a little bit in the air remember those? You'd have to be old to remember that. I'll bet it's been 2 decades. My wife traded in her little flip phone monochrome green screen at the Verizon store, and the young man that was taking the phone and getting her a new phone out, he opened it up and that green screen glowed, and he said, "I've never seen one of these before." Well, there's a lot he hasn't seen before. But you remember that if you wanted to text somebody, and I thought that was the most amazing thing, to be able to send a message, print a message and send it out across the invisible airwaves, and whoever it was around the world received it, and they would open it up and look. But you remember how you had to text back in those days? You see, you had 1 through 0, and every numeric button had 3 alphabet letters assigned to it. And so number 1 would say ABC, number 2 would say DEF, right, on and on and on through the letters of the alphabet. So if you wanted to send a text and you wanted the letter A, you had to go to number 1 and push it once, and an A would pop up. If you wanted a letter D, you had to go to the second number 2, and push it once, and a D would pop up. And I mean, 3 hours later, you'd send your text, "Hi, how are you?" And by that time, they're asleep. Or dead, maybe. How old your friend is. And then a brand new language was designed around those 160 characters. That's all you got. I used to labor over that because I'm a preacher. I'm a word jockey, and I don't know how to say anything in 160 characters. And they count the punctuation and the spaces. 160 of them is all you got. And so I'd back up to kind of say this different. And pretty soon you don't even care to send it, you just call. But brand new lingo came about, and you know what, the young people here still use it, a lot of us still use it, to shorten it down for us. For instance, if I said to you in my text to you, 0.02, what does that mean? It means my 2 cents. I'm putting in my 2 cents. If I said to you in my text, question mark, RUD, and you received that, what would that say to you? What you doing? Oh, come on, people. Ask your phone. It knows everything. Here's one. You got to know this one. If I put, you send me a question, and I send you back 3 letters, IDK. What does that mean? You got it. I don't know what's wrong with you this morning either. I just would send you an IDK right now. Here's one I know you know because I still get this one a lot, especially from my oldest son. LOL. Yeah. My wife used to think it was love a lot. Love a lot. Just laugh out loud. And if you interpose yourself into somebody else's text or their private Facebook message and they send you back 4 capital letters, MYOB. Oh, say it louder, you know it. Yeah, mind your own business. Oh, that's what I want to preach to you about today. Minding your own business. Earlier this morning, I went back. There's a really neat little space back here where anybody that has to be on the platform use a microphone or have a transmitter of any kind. There's a screen, and it talks about today's service and the music of the day, and it even had my name there, what microphone I was supposed to put on this morning. I thought I might mess with the upstairs guys and gals and just put a wrong one on. But I got mine, and it's all there. And I was looking at the service schedule. So the songs are there, and then the pause so I could come and read some scripture and pray with you was there, and our last song was there. And then it said message, and beside that it said my topic today was hope, H-O-P-E. And I thought, well, nobody told me that. Unless they mean they hope that I live long enough to be here. I guess maybe that's what it was. And so whoever assigned me the topic of preaching on hope today, MYOB. Did you know there's a verse in the Bible that tells you exactly that same thing, to mind your own business? Let me read it. 1 Peter 4:15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer. Notice the company into which God puts this command. A murderer, or as a thief, or an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Wow. That word busybody in the Greek that Peter used means a meddler. Meddling in business that isn't yours to meddle in is what he was saying. It's not a good thing, according to the Bible, to mind other people's business. We'd do well to learn that lesson and just shut up and go home. I marvel over 5 decades of ministry how people had so much time that they could take care of my business like they used to do. They just knew what I should do and what I should say and what I shouldn't do and say and just mind my business. Listen, MYOB, knowing you as well as I do, and I know you, we got a lot of new brothers and sisters, and I'm so thankful for all these baptisms we've had lately. Bless my heart, blesses my heart. There's a lot of new brothers and sisters here, but I've known a lot of you for a long time. And trust me in this, my dear brother and my dear sister, you got a full-time job just minding your own business. You truly, truly do. But on the other side of that coin, it's also not a good thing to ignore business that is yours to do. I look around a little bit this morning when I got here, and we're sitting together on 42 acres of the most beautiful land in God's good creation. It was created by God. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It was created by God. God kept it in reserve all these years. I wish I had time to tell you the story of this piece of land I'm standing on, you're seated on right now. Mrs. Jenny Moore, that we bought this land from back in about 1989. Been in her family for over 100 years. Just when we needed a piece of land, just when we needed a future home, just when we had enough vision to believe that if God was going to continue a work here in Medina County, that we needed a home to expand. And God kept His hand sheltering on this piece of property. At that time, it was 32, and another man on the east side recently gave us 11 point something acres, now 42 acres in total, till God took His hand off of it and gave us this place for a home. This is the most beautiful worship center I've ever had the privilege of preaching. I love this house. But I want to remind you, this is not my house. This is not your house. This is our Father's house. This is our Father's land. He gave it to us, I want you to listen carefully, because I believe in my heart He trusted us to use it for His glory. We must never forget that He put us here to do His business. And I think the greatest danger that we face, perhaps, is that we get distracted by the good things that God has given us in this life. We have more good things than any generation of Christian people have had before us. We do. We have so many good things to enrich our life and bless our life. And even when it comes to this church house, we have so many good things that God has chosen to give us that we get distracted by those things and we fail to mind the business we've been given. And I want to make it real simple for you. Verse 19 tells us exactly what our business is. And I'm talking to all of us. If you're a member of this church, that means you've been saved and you were either baptized here or you moved your membership here. You are formally attached as a member of this body, this church body called the Grace Baptist Church. And if you have been saved and not baptized, get in line and get baptized the next time. It's your next step of obedience. If you've been saved and baptized scripturally, Romans 6 teaches by immersion. If you've been saved and baptized scripturally and your membership is somewhere else, but you live here now and your heart is here now, then join this church by formal attachment. Stop dating the church and make a commitment. Let's be members of this body together. The importance of that is taught to you in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Read it when you get home. How important that we attach to one another for the good of the body. But our business, when you trim away all the veneer and strip it down to the basics, Jesus said to the church, to you and to me, we are to be fishers of men. If Jesus was seated here in this house today, wouldn't it be wonderful to sit in His presence? Won't it be wonderful someday to see Him face to face? I get shivers now when I think of that day. I'm closer than I've ever been. There are some young people, I've had so many funerals in my lifetime. We often think, well, Pastor, you should feel that way because you've passed your 70. Yeah, you are pretty close. But I tell you, I've had some folks, if you could draw a line, if this was 70 plus, maybe 80, and this was your birthday over here, and I'd ask you, go down that line and put an X where you think you are. There's some young people go way down here in the first third and say, that's where I'm at, when in reality they're living their last weeks. We don't know. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. But I know I'm closer than ever I've been before. I want to see him someday. What a great thought. But if he were here, if Jesus came and took an upper seat somewhere, maybe over in that place where I can't see in the very corner, but he gets a panoramic view of this whole big house, all of us together, I wonder what he would see. I want to tell you, I don't think he would see a building like you and I do. I think he would see a boat. I think he would see an ark, a salvation station. I think he would see two people, only two kinds of people in this room. Fishermen, those of us who have already been caught. Those of us who are in the family. Those of us who have come to faith. We now are the fishers of others. Or he would see fish who yet need to be brought into the net. Dr. Carl Hatch used to come. Dr. Hatch was a Texan. He was a great evangelist. He'd come to campus when I was a student, and he would have a crusade on evangelism. I learned so many things about personal evangelism from Dr. Carl Hatch, but he had a favorite saying about drawing in the net. He said, we need some folks who cast the net, but don't you leave until you draw that net. They need to be drawn in. It's our business, the business of this church. Now, if you don't mind using this part, I don't have any objects that I wanted to bring out here today. If I did, I'd try to bring a boat in here. I'd beat the snot out of that airplane. I'd bring a boat in here. But I didn't know how to get it through the doors. Use your sermon notes. I started this back in college. We were required to take notes in chapel and turn them in to prove that we listened. But I did that when our pastor was Dr. Tom Malone. I did that when he would preach. I've done it ever since. Every time Pastor Dave is preaching, anybody, a guest has come, if I don't have this, I take a piece of paper from my Bible and I make notes. There's something between connecting your ears and your eyes and your heart and your hand. Now, you don't have to keep them. You may if you wish. I don't often keep them. I go home and look through them. I remember what was said. I remember how it spoke to me, and then often I just set them aside. But use that thing. I'm only going to give you 3 simple points about minding our business together. Here's this, my business. Let me bring it down to your business too. Your business is to be following. Following. The first words that Jesus spoke to his first disciples were to follow me. And the first business of every believer is not yet to be a fisher of men, but to be a follower of Jesus. That's where it begins. People often cop out and they say, well, Pastor, I didn't have personal evangelism class. I didn't have a teacher like Dr. Carl Hatch. I don't really know how to lead somebody to Jesus. Listen, if you got saved, you know how you got saved, right? Don't complicate what God has simplified. If you can memorize John 3:16, you can lead anybody to Jesus. Anybody. You don't have to have a degree in theology or a certificate in personal evangelism class. Keep it simple. Jesus said, follow me, get this, I will make you to be fishers of men. You see, the natural result of walking closely with Jesus is an increasing desire to bring those who don't know him into the family of God. He just makes it to be that way. What does it mean to follow him? 4 things. It means to learn of him. Matthew 11:29, he said, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. Can I ask you, what is your plan in the rest of this year, 2025, to be learning more about Jesus than you know today? If you don't have one, you won't know anything. And you can't be like somebody that you don't know anything about. You need to get back into your... But can I recommend that between now and the end of the year, this is an easy task. Read the 4 Gospels between now and December 31. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, these synoptic gospels, these gospels that line up and tell us the story of Jesus. Learn who he is. Learn how he spoke. Learn about his heart. Learn about Jesus. It's your first step in following him. It means to listen to him. He that hath an ear, let him hear, our Lord said. I told somebody a couple weeks ago who talked about their kids. They had little people. And they said, you know, Pastor, so we get so discouraged. Our kids, they just don't seem to listen to us at all. And I told them a trade secret of moms and dads, at least for our kids growing up. They're here. They can shake their head. I learned a long time ago that there is some physical connection between the ears and the backside. Evidently, there's an artery of some kind in there. But you smack it in their ears and stop. Oh, yeah, the emails I'm going to get now. The text. email me at Pastor Dave Luizzo at GBC Heartline. Can I tell you what and I've had so many people over the years sit with me and say, Pastor, why don't I hear from the Lord? Other people here say the Lord spoke to their heart, they heard His voice, and I want you to know, I believe God speaks to His people. It may not be that physical voice, that beautiful radio voice that God has. It may not be that way. In fact, most of the time it would not. It would scare me to death if God woke me up and spoke audibly to me. But there is a spirit that speaks to your spirit, and when you walk with Him and follow Him, you get pretty good at recognizing the voice of God when He speaks to you. What's the problem then? The problem usually is distance. You see, our brothers, men, who chose to go out on the links this morning and take a 9 o'clock tea time, they haven't heard anything their preacher has said today. You know why? Oh, they got ears. They can hear. As Jesus said, he that hath ears, let him hear. They can hear. The only problem is there's too much distance between us. They haven't heard anything. So the next time you're struggling to hear the voice of God, remember He said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Did He not say that? He didn't move. Set yourself down and see where you've created the distance. What have you not been doing that you need to do to walk closely to Him so you can hear His voice? It also means to love like He loves. Jesus said, by this will all men know that you're my disciples if you have love one to another. Now, the kind of love we're talking about is not a worldly kind of love. In fact, it's not a feeling at all. Love is deed and action. 1 John chapter 3 says, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Don't just say it. Don't spout it, but back it up. Do things. Like Galatians 6, bear ye one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. On and on and on you find in the Bible how we can learn to love like Jesus loves. It also means to lean on Him. He said, come unto me, all ye that labor heavy laden. I will give you what? Rest. What a precious word is that. In the Greek, it's the word anapausis, and it means to relieve the tension. And that's exactly what God's able to do. The stresses of life, the burdens of life, the physical things we go through as we age and get older, we live in the same world, you and I, and the Lord knows that. He did too. He's the one that said, in this world be sure you'll have tribulations, and we do. And I find that when these things come upon you, it's not God punishing you. Most often it's not. It's the normalcy of living life in the human realm in a tainted world and a body tainted by sin, the results of it. You've got to learn to lean on Him. You've got to learn to run to Him. I find two responses when we go through troubles. You name the kind. It could be financial, it can be loss of a job, it can be a prodigal child, it can be a marriage struggle, it can be something in your physical life. People either run like a childish little person away from their Heavenly Father, pout, or they run to His arms and find rest. Do you know this chorus? If you do, sing with me. Are you ready? Learning to lean, learning to lean. I'm learning to lean on Jesus, finding more power than I ever dreamed. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. How many never heard that chorus before? I just sang it. Weren't you listening? I get folks all the time on that, and I don't know how. I keep getting you on that. One more time. Learning to lean, learning to lean. I'm learning to lean on Jesus, finding more power than I ever dreamed. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. You got to do that. Life gets heavy sometimes. Cast your burden on the one who said, cast your burden upon the Lord and He will sustain you. I've got to hurry. Your business also is to be finding. Here's some logic. If followers of Jesus want to become fishers of men, we first got to be finders of fish. Does that make sense to you? Because you can't catch fish till you find them. Last June, my son-in-law and I, we always slip away a couple of days in the mountains of Tennessee, and we go fly fishing. And I enjoy that. It's the only time usually I go. And we got up early. We left the girls, mom and daughter and the 2 granddaughters in the cabin, and we took off early. And we drove over into the mountains, into the national park. And there's certain places we like to go, and we parked his truck there, and we hit a trail, and we followed lots of people who were on the easy parts of the trail. And they were professional hikers. They had 1 bottle of water and flip-flops. And I'd smile at them and think, you ain't going to be smiling much longer. Them flip-flops up this trail. And we would hike and hike and hike until we ran out of people around us, and we go higher than that because there's some places where we could go into the water and fish, and there would be nobody there but us. I love that. So here we are. Get this. We get out of the truck and we put on our wading pants and we strap on our wading shoes, and I put on my sling bag with all my equipment in it, and I've got my fly rod, and I've got it all decked out, equipped out, and I've got on my glasses that let me see where the rocks are and the holes are, and I wade all the way up into the water, and I get up there, I'm looking down at the river, and I can see the trout. I say, oh, look at those. We found them. There they are. Okay, I'm ready to go. You say, well, that's stupid. Exactly. It is. Why do you think we'd spend some time finding fish unless we intend to catch some fish? We should not be just followers. We should be finders of fish. One problem that we have is every Sunday after this brief hour together, we go back out in the dock and we climb on our individual little boats, whatever your product of choice is. It could be a truck boat or an SUV boat or a car boat. You put a label on it, it's your boat. And we head back out into the waters all around this church, throughout this county. Some of you live beyond this county. Thank the Lord that you come here to church. I love that. We drive through all these fishing holes. We go there on Monday to work. We go there to school or soon back to school or on the campus. We go by all these fish and we see them, but we aren't looking. We aren't paying attention to finding fish. And that's the purpose God gave us. Little boy got up early on Saturday to do his chores because his mama had promised, if you finish your chores, I'll let you go to the creek and go fishing. He loved fishing more than anything in the world. And so he got all of his chores clicked off, and he went to Mama and said, can I go fishing? And she said, yep, you can go, but I want you to take your little sister with you. She loves going to the creek. He said, oh, Mama, don't make me take her. Please don't make me take her. She said, why? He said, the last time I took her to the creek, I didn't catch a single fish. And she said, you know what? Before you go, I'll talk to her and tell her to be quiet. He said, it wasn't a noise. She ate my bait. You know why we don't catch more fish? Most of the time, we're just not looking. Honestly, we're just not looking like Jesus looks at the world. The same Dr. Carl Hatch I mentioned a moment ago used to have a statement. He'd say, young men, this was seminary now for young men. He said, young men, you need to be soul conscious. I'd never heard that term until I heard him say it. He said, when you pass through people, neighbors, family, work associates, you walk through the crowd of humanity around you, what do you see? You see people. You're just seeing the outside. He said, inside of every person is a soul that has to spend eternity in one of only 2 places. You need to be conscious of the souls that pass you by. We just don't look. And then when we do find them, we often just don't fish. We just don't. We'd never put a line in the water. Why do you think you live where you live? In the neighborhood where you've settled in? Why do you think you go to school where you go to school, or you go to work where you go to work, or the family that God put you in, or the neighborhood all around you? Why do you think God ordered your life as it is? He put you there on purpose, and that purpose is our business. It's to be a fisher of men. There is someone in my circle that I only can win. You can't. They're not in your circle. But there are people in your circle of lost ones that only you can win. We need to be fishing a little more. So our business is to be following, to be finding, and to be fishing. Most important thing. Listen to me now. I'm coming to a close, I promise. Boats and rods and reels and lines and hooks and fancy shiny lures, they don't catch fish. People catch fish. I'm so thankful for all the wonderful things God has given the Grace Baptist Church since He founded us here in 1959. This church began in 1959, humble little beginning with about 15 people. This church has a worldwide influence. There are missionaries. I hear from them every week. More than 140 of them now that we support who email me. Mostly it's email, sometimes texts, sometimes a video chat. And they're so thankful that you're here, that you're sending mission dollars out. You help get them where God is sending them to do what God gave them to do, fish in a different place. The work we do is vitally important because so many churches are drying on the vine. My heart's greatest desire was to find that team, that pastor who would continue the zeal and the heart, the love for this book and the love for this family and the love for the lost, so we can keep doing the business we were assigned beginning in April 1959. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing God has done. Look at what He's given us. But these soft, comfortable seats don't catch fish. And this technology that we're using, even to broadcast out today on around the world in a live stream, that doesn't catch any fish. And these instruments don't catch fish. And even these wonderful singers and this beautiful music, that doesn't catch fish. People catch fish. How long's it been since you brought somebody in? If we don't see fishing as our main business, we have no business occupying and maintaining this big boat that we're in. None whatsoever. To whom much is given, much is required. I think we've got settled in and satisfied since we moved into this house. It was our dream, our vision for such a long time. And now here we are, over a decade. Here we are, and there's still empty seats. Every empty seat represents a soul that needs to be saved, somebody that needs to come to this big ark and find the one who is the way, the truth, and the life, the one who is the only door of salvation. But how shall they hear without a preacher? We need to bring them in. I challenge you. Here's a little logical math. If each of us would just reach one person in this last half of 2025, just one neighbor, one friend. If we just pray and say, God, would you let somebody cross my path? And then tug my heart and say, that's your one right there. That's that new neighbor, that new guy at work, that new gal at work, that person who came to your school. That's your one. Focus on them, pray for them, love them, invite them, tell them. We could not hold the crowd in one service by the end of this year if we just reach one. Now, I would not be minding my business if I just closed in prayer without asking you a question. And here's what I want to ask you. If this is the last Sunday you'll ever go to church, your life is drawing to a close, is what I'm trying to say. If this is your last invitation you're ever going to experience when a pastor asks you, please come, let somebody take the Bible and show you from the book how to be saved. It's a free gift of God's grace by your faith. All of us get saved the same way. For by grace you're saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. For whosoever, Romans 10:13, shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Do you know that you know you'd be in heaven next Sunday morning? Would you stand with me? Please stand. Heads bowed. As we come to a close this morning, I want you to know that we're giving you an opportunity to come into this ark of salvation, to leave this house knowing that you know you've been saved. Baptism won't get you there. Joining the church won't make it. Trying to turn over a new leaf and do better and better and better won't get you there. But Jesus can, and He will.